Detective Liam Hacker will be able to adequately explain that to a level that few people can.
Accessing a news article does not in any way indicate you are concerned about anything. You have accessed a news article. You do not know whether he searched it or whether somebody sent him the link. Is that right?
That is true, Your Honor.
Okay.
Timeline of what has occurred between
the yet to be established timeline. Okay.
That the state is just going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there.
I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Well, I think I'm concerned about this with...
In all honesty, this just looks like a bunch of people going, hey man, are we going to go out tonight?
Right.
It better be fun if we're going. Boy, you still drinking? Where you at? I got to do it for boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say. I mean, you can say, oh, that means...
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on here?
You certainly do not need 196 more photographs in, do you? You don't. No. I cannot imagine that you would.
Day 158 of the YSL RICO trial was painful. Without the jury present, the state and defense argue over admissibility of Shannon's lyrics and group chat conversations. Judge Whitaker also said something very interesting on accident. 95% of what the state is trying to get in today is essentially them throwing anything at the wall to see if it sticks. Try to confuse the jury, throw in group chat conversations and lyrics. You'll see, hit subscribe, here we go. First look at Gotti, first look at Shannon. There's no jury, that's why they're in more relaxed clothes.
If the state could go through their Dropbox and indicate what on these Dropbox they actually plan on bringing the evidence, and then I'm ready to voice my objections. I don't have a full grasp of the entire universe that the state is actually seeking to admit. I think it would probably be better if the state said, this is what we're seeking to bring in, this is what we're seeking to bring in, and then you have a quizzical look like I'm not making complete sense. I apologize for that.
Well, you know, I had asked both sides to get together on the pared down list.
She did ask both sides.
It may not be that we need to litigate everything even on the pared down list, but it doesn't sound like that has occurred.
If it's something that we don't need to litigate, I can certainly say we can move on to the next.
The majority of those involve group threads on IG, the phone extractions of what the state intends to publish.
From Mr. Stillwell's 3 phones.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Co-conspirator statements, but the vast majority are group threads that defendant Stillwell is a part of with DAMEKION Garlington and other individuals.
So it sounds like there's going to be a bunch of co-conspirator statements coming in that the defense will never be able to cross-examine.
Is Mr. Sumlin going to be called?
Yes, Your Honor.
So don't we need to litigate something about him still as well?
Your Honor, I believe on Tuesday when Mr. Schardt brought it to the court's attention, the state does not intend to go into anything that's speculation.
What he was saying was, well, what do you think about this? Well, I think such and such.
And we don't intend to ask him what he thinks about anything or what he does not have personal knowledge in.
So basically,
did y'all talk about that?
We have in general terms, but I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
The police questioned Antonio Sumlin about stuff they found in his house and about an alleged conspiracy that he was charged with. With investigator Viverito just kind of said, well, what do you think happened with the Donovan Thomas? And he was in jail at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if y'all talked about it and y'all are on the same page, that's fine with me.
State trying to get shit in that shouldn't come in. Clearly,
part of the problem is it seems that investigator Viverito took somewhat of an investigatory role in this at some point, or a co-investigator, but there's no reports by investigator Viverito. So in discovery, I have like a folder with a bunch of social media posts of random people assuming that it's investigator Viverito pulled them, but there's no, to my knowledge, no report saying, oh, I pulled this.
Why is there always no reports of shit? If Viverito became part of the investigation, why wouldn't she make some reports?
A date in the title of the folder, but then a different date on the post. And there's just a lot of ambiguity. We just need to go through some of that. And I absolutely object to some of the social media grabs that investigator Viverito.
Okay. What y'all are saying is significant?
Yes.
And that number liked the image that is the 1x1?
Correct. What number liked?
Today's going to be really tedious. Going over messages and certain people liking messages and Instagram chats, bro.
Okay, I don't know. Y'all are going to have to explain.
I just want to know who the author of the image is. I'm trying to understand evidentiarily how this gets in.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too. All right, let's see what Adkins says. 60% of you aren't subscribed. Come on, hit the subscribe bell.
The green messages are statement of party opponent. He's mentioning the death of Christian McMiller and Darius Ford, and then defendant Stillwell.
Which is which number?
He is any green text, Your Honor, highlighted is going to be him.
Green, they have a green box around them?
Those are all statement of party opponents.
But I don't know. My objection to this is...
This meaning go up above again, right?
One by one, that's not my client's words.
1x1 is posted when? I mean, I see that apparently Mr. Stillwell's phone liked that image on 3/11 at 9:31 a.m. Is that what I'm supposed to take from this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we have, and is he talking when he likes the image to, and is that a snake emoji? It's so small I can't see it.
That is what I believe it is, Your Honor.
Okay, main snake. So
I think it's actually a lizard.
Main lizard then. We'll just call it main.
This isn't real. This is all a social experiment. This trial is not real.
Him liking that message, just like you could like a picture someone text you.
Right. Okay. All right, and Mr. Schardt, what's your objection then?
Well, I need to understand the relevance.
Liking a message is a statement by party opponent.
Basically picking off the rivals one by one, shooting one by one the people who caused the double homicide death.
Well, but who wrote?
But no one's going to be, that is, the jury can make of that what, but that is.
But that's why y'all are offering it. So to say that these two buddies of ours died and we're going to get whomever killed them one by one?
Because on March 14th, SHYMEL Drinks has a picture with Kelvin Watts and Jasper Walters, who are publicly and quite aggressively disrespecting the double homicide publicly.
Has that evidence come in yet?
It is going to come in with investigator Viverito, so it has not been before the jury. So
okay.
I'm not saying this, there is some evidence out there about this quite public disrespect of, there's one picture of a crossed out Mr. McMiller next to his child and said he didn't have a father now. So it is, there's no words for that level of disrespect.
That's fucking crazy.
There's no evidence that Mr. Stillwell saw any of these posts, to my knowledge.
It's Mr.
Not this one. I'm not talking about this one.
Well, right. Sounds like they don't even get posted until several days later. But
the state's theory is this was retaliation for that.
This
SHYMEL Drinks' murder was
okay.
And so
Drinks' murder is retaliation for McMiller and Ford's murders a few days prior.
Correct, Your Honor.
State wants it all to be connected. Retaliatory shit. So they're trying to show the jury these pictures that the rival gang members even posted too.
The text messages the state believes are highly relevant to show, because you have to put forth evidence, and a private text message is good evidence of someone's state of mind of how that impacted people by the state's theory that murdered SHYMEL Drinks because of that. And so when he and then the specific photograph of one by one, that can be up to interpretation, but the state feels that it's relevant that immediately after stating that, I lost my brothers.
Well, it's not immediately after stating it, it's before stating it, isn't it? Okay, so some random human in the universe who is somehow humane, whomever has access to through Instagram, has, while listening to a song, posted one by one ... And it doesn't matter who that is or what that means. Maine sends that snap of the screenshot to Mr. Stillwell, who then likes the image. And the state's theory is that by liking an image that says one by one, because it's several hours after the murder of his compatriots, that indicates that he intends to get revenge for the murder. Am I following your theory?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Correct, Your Honor. Why is he like sketch or whatever? Sounds like the judge is even pointing out that they're reaching a little bit.
It could be a rival of someone, of YFN, posting one by one, and then defendant Stillwell and Maine Slime are sending this photo to each other saying, look what they're publicly saying, one by one. And that probably is what it is. I do not know who that Instagram handle is. Considering that this is sent on March 11th, they are discussing this double homicide amongst each other, the impact, send this screenshot one by one, and then there's multiple...
You're saying they're discussing this homicide amongst each other, but it is over an hour later, Mr. Stillwell says, my brother got killed.
Atkins does not seem prepared to argue this. He's like not really talking quick like he usually does.
I thought they were saying at first that this is some scheme going on where Maine Lizard is saying one by one, we need to get them one by one, and Shannon's
apparently that's not what they're saying.
Right. Well, there's a pretty big difference between those two things, and I keep going back. We don't know who the author is, and the
author being the person who posted one by one.
Right.
And I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess in order for us to accept the theory that Maine Lizard and Mr. Stillwell are, I don't know, conversing in some way about the potential for some sort of revenge, it would certainly be helpful for the state to be able to establish that was a rival gang member. Although, if a rival gang member posted something like that, why you would like that instead of dislike it, I don't know.
Well, I mean, theoretically, you could like the fact that Maine Lizard told you because people have been trying to kill you for years, and those same people are posting one by one. I would appreciate the heads up of that knowledge. And so that's my point. These are two very vastly different theories, and I just don't, from my perspective, just be throwing these things in front of the jury without even the knowledge of who wrote this and the context in which it's being considered.
It's absolutely insane. All of it. This would never come in any other trial that's not RICO.
So the statement by a party opponent is he liked an image?
No, Your Honor. The text beneath that. The state cannot show him liking the one by one.
Okay, so then that would be him saying, my brother got killed, and then him saying, and who is 3188? Because that seems to be a different phone number than Maine Lizard. So is this even the same, how can this even be the same text chain? I had to hurry, I couldn't even think straight. Man, I'm effed up right now, I'm gonna just holler at you later. Okay, is there objection to that? To Mr. Stillwell expressing grief at having lost somebody he knows?
No, I would ask the state for the relevance of...
Have we not established by now that Mr. Stillwell is from the Cleveland Avenue area of the city?
No, Your Honor.
We haven't?
Not Mr. Stillwell. Mr.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. Well, then I guess that's relevant.
Is that the point of this?
We have a frequency area. We leave sometimes though Heights, but he doesn't frequent the Cleveland Avenue or maybe he considers himself from Cleveland Avenue, but we have not established Mr. Stillwell himself.
Okay.
They haven't established that Shannon's from Cleveland Avenue, or at least she just said he just frequents there. He's not from there.
Rental car, we've already established that. I mean, we saw him there at the rental car agency, so is there an objection?
I just didn't see the relevance. It's cumulative. If that's the purpose of it.
Is that the only purpose? Yes, sir. Okay, I'm going to sustain the cumulative objection. So these are things that he accessed over a full day later that deal with the fact that
Mr.
Drinks had been killed.
Yes.
Over 3 days after.
Well, you're right. Okay. That he,
particular murders in his phone.
Well, we keep saying search.
that's, yeah. Are you showing that he searched for, like he sat down and typed into Google, Fox 5 Atlanta, Drinks killing?
Or that this website information is in his phone. We believe it's from a search of going.
He accessed it. You don't know whether he searched for it or whether somebody sent him a link and said, oh my gosh, look at what just happened.
Right. At some point, it opened up on his phone. So whether he searched it himself or someone sent it, it was accessed on his phone. Yes, sure.
I'm going to.
That doesn't necessarily mean he killed him. People search for murders all the time, right? It's 3 days after.
Object to under 403, and the reason is
There's a big difference between, oh, I'm going to go look at this information under the state's theory that I'm the one that committed it, let me find out what is being published about it, versus somebody sends me a link, oh my gosh, and who knows whether these people even know each other, but assuming they did, so-and-so got killed. Oh wow, let me see.
You're right, but I think there is some relevance that there are multiple links to the same shooting, especially after.
So
and what else is going to come into evidence, Your Honor, there's going to be other posts. I believe it's Mr. Stillwell's post after Mr. McMillan, Mr. Ford is murdered, that says we're not going to be the only ones crying tonight. So the fact that after the murder of Mr. Drinks, that there are any searches or any information sent to him about the murder of Mr. Drinks is extremely relevant, given that
3 days later, if it was like 2 hours later, it might be extremely relevant. But 3 days later, it might be relevant because relevance is a low standard. But
that's exactly what I was saying. 3 days it's a long period of time. If it was hours.
The argument on the other side is it's overly prejudicial.
But it's also after their home was shot up, and after we believe that when police went to the house, when police responded to that location, that very soon after police responded, all of the stuff in that home was gone by the time police did a search warrant on that house on March 17th. So the fact that you are searching at 2:30 in the morning, or this information is being sent to you at 2:30 in the morning, is relevant. It's still within only
2:30 in the morning, 3 days after Drinks is killed, and over a day after the Waters Road home is shot up, right?
That's still information that is relevant and not substantially prejudicial, overly prejudicial, because of what is happening between these two gangs for the days leading up.
Between these two gangs, except that you have yet to establish that Mr. Drinks was in a rival gang. You're saying you're going to be able to do that?
We're going to be able to show that he was at least associating with individuals. The individual Barter, who he was with the day that he was murdered, is a member of YFN. We have other pictures that are going to come out very soon, that will come out through investigative VIVERITO, we believe, that show that after this murder, they did not know who he was initially on day one. However, very soon, they saw other YFN members reposting him saying, rest in peace. That is when they learned of his association with YFN. And again, specifically, the individual who is known as Barter is also Christian Johnson. That is the person who was in the car with him. So the state will establish that there was an association, at least with a number of YFN members, given what was posted.
Right, and you're not necessarily going to be able, I don't even hear you saying you're going to be able to establish that Mr. Stillwell knew that Mr. Drinks was an associate of YFN. They're just, it's an inference to be made. Is that right?
It is an inference because there's a picture that was posted on at least March 12th.
The Barter is Christian Johnson. That explains the fingerprints of him being in the car. And they're going to try to connect SHYMEL to YFN with the posts and everything. Look at Schardt right? Just fucking stared her down, dude.
Mr. Shell Keller, Kelvin Watts, reposted a picture with Mr. Drinks, an individual by the name of Jasper Walters, who is a known YFN member, and Shell Kell, that has 2 shell emojis and 2 black zipper emojis. And we believe those emojis subliminally.
You're using the word wrong again, but okay. Like a hidden message.
A hidden message.
Not the same thing as subliminal, but okay.
Okay. So that we believe that those 2 messages were a message that they may have been the ones responsible for the death of McMillan and Forrest.
Bro, why are these motherfuckers self-snitching? Like, if you're part of a gang and actually killing people, why would you ever post shit about it? Like, you are so fucking stupid. The IQ has to be under 100 combined.
Instagram posts, which are relevant, we believe will come in. So to establish it is relevant that he would be even concerned about this.
Okay.
Or that
accessing a news article does not in any way indicate you are concerned about anything. You have accessed a news article.
So when you access the news,
yeah, there's thousands and thousands of people that look at news articles. Doesn't mean they killed them.
You do not know whether he searched it or whether somebody sent him the link. Is that right?
That is true, Your Honor.
Okay.
But the fact that people are sending the link of that particular murder, and we have calls on the wiretap in which they talk about, I think there's a call with Damekion Garlington, in which people ask, why did they shoot up the house? And Damekion Garlington says, because their homeboy got killed in Mechanicsville last night. That one, but there's some other ones as well. So I think that this is relevant and not substantially prejudicial, given the timeline of what has occurred between really March.
The yet to be established timeline. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, but that's because we're still putting.
I know you're still putting evidence up. I know.
And my point.
The yet to be established, dude. The judge has been jabbing them all day.
We are on a 2-yard line of getting to the end of this case, and it seems to me that there is a potential that the state is just going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there.
I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Well, I think I'm concerned about this with VIVERITO. Like, for instance, when they just talked about the post by Shell Kell, there is no evidence that I know of that Shannon's ever seen that post. And we have no idea if there was a link sent, if it was a search. We have no idea of any of that.
Right,
and the jury will have no idea.
And you will have to point that out to them.
Sheesh. The judge is over how the state is handling this case, bro. This is a disaster. How did Fonnie Willis get reelected? This is such a shit show.
It's relevant, again, because of the low threshold for relevance, and it is, I mean, in terms of confusion, I don't think that they're going to be able to establish more than that this was accessed.
There's no messages where he received them. I've gone through the phone extractor. He went onto Safari. He typed in Windsor homicide in Atlanta, and that's what was accessed with the classified.
All right, and this is coming in through VIVERITO, and does she have the expertise to be able to explain any of this?
So, Your Honor, VIVERITO has probably gone through 500 phones. She's in the gang unit as actively phone dumps.
But something like this, that's showing web access, and we are all saying, well, okay, can you tell from this whether it was something that was sent or whether it was a search that he generated? Can anybody answer that question?
Even if he did search for this article 3 days later, does that help the state prove that he murdered someone? I don't see how that's even good evidence for them.
Defendant Stillwell accessed, searched that. That is what we're showing.
Accessed it and searched it are not necessarily the same thing. I can access a link that you send me, or I can search for the same thing myself and find that same link. And is some witness going to be able to explain, when you see /search, that means that it was a search?
Detective Liam Packer will be able to adequately explain that to a level that few people can.
Why did Atkins hop up like that?
Detective Liam Packer will be able to adequately explain that to a level that few people can.
But VIVERITO is not going to be able to tell us the answer to any of those questions, is she?
Your Honor, I do very much believe that she is very much equipped with her training experience to discuss, because she reviews these almost daily. I'm not saying
that doesn't mean she knows what they mean.
But she's had training on, and defense can voir dire across. We're not putting her up as a cell phone extraction expert. We have Detective Liam Packer, who was going to describe that. But the
right, but how about just have him look at that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then he can explain it to us.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know that. I mean, I haven't heard anything that would make VIVERITO able to answer those questions. So as long as you, I mean, it's not much for him to look at. It's less than 2 pages.
Yes,
Have him look at that.
She's just trying to save time because she knows Schardt is going to object to VIVERITO analyzing these phone records or whatever, or these website records.
Was saved in defendant Stillwell's phone.
Okay.
And when the crime scene photographs get introduced of the March 11th double murder of Christian McMillan and Darius Ford, the vehicle that they were driving pulls up that video because it hit the news. The person who is actively saying FUCK puts the bullet-ridden car of Mr. McMillan and Mr. Ford on his public Instagram and is publicly saying...
Okay, that's a part of this video which for me has not opened.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And so the state feels that that level of blatant disrespect is highly relevant in the state's gang retaliation murder. I can't think of something more heartless than posting a bullet-ridden car after someone has been murdered on a highway and publicly... I mean, that is...
Okay, so this video, in addition to him playing DJ, has him posting on the video the car that McMillan and Ford were...
It's pretty crazy. The state wants all the shit in that the rival gang is posting. Like, think about that. It's not even anyone in YSL posting it. It's the rival gang. They're just trying to show, like, motivation for retaliatory shootings.
For whatever reason, Mr. Stillwell has that video saved in his phone.
Right.
Okay.
We don't know who this man is.
What's your objection?
Relevance 403. We don't know who this man is at all, unless the state knows. And he's just disparaging YSL, and it's in my client's phone.
All right, that's relevant and not overly prejudicial.
All right, the fact that it's in Shannon's phone is definitely not a good look.
So this is Shannon texting Mr. Steele.
No, we're not going to use that one.
Okay, we're withdrawing that one.
Shannon texted Mr. Steele, and they withdrawed it. The fuck?
And that one contains a chat with Bottom Boy for Life.
Bottom Boy for Life? That sounds real sus. What type of name is that?
I did not believe that the state was planning on introducing us.
So it's a good thing I asked.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Because it was confusing me. So let's just, for the rule of completeness, put the whole conversation in.
Well, there's somewhere the whole conversation is going to be 800.
Well, maybe there won't be an objection to those. We'll see as we go along.
I'm going to object for the record statement. Bring me some FM bullets, like 15. And the reason I'm saying that is because this is leading up to the Drinks murder. Mr. Drinks was not, the ballistics do not come back to an FN gun. There's no link to the Drinks murder.
Well, then that's good for you.
That is true.
The fact that he's asking for bullets is relevant on the state side.
Oh, so the specific bullets aren't used in that Drinks murder, but of course the state wants to show it to the jury to confuse them. It's happened a lot. State putting in shit. The switch gun has nothing to do with the Drinks murder. They've been showing it the past few days, probably to confuse them that the switch gun was used, but it wasn't.
So overruling that objection. Be ready, bro. Been ready. Share your location. And then he says, be there in 3 minutes. Turn it on your street outside.
This is the day of the murder, Your Honor.
Okay.
And DAMEKION Garlington is believed to be in the car with defendant Stillwell when they shoot and kill SHYMEL Drinks.
All right, so this is just showing that he possibly is still in the car 6 hours later. Garlington might still have been in the car with him. Do we already know that from the video?
No, Your Honor. We have phone records that places
Okay.
Garlington at the gas station around the time of the murder.
Oh, so I didn't even know that. So DAMEKION Garlington's in the car with Shannon in the rented Audi.
Attorney-client privileged material. I would say the context of the chat appears that it's another young lady that he's having some sort of sexual relation.
Chats of him talking to a girl?
So is there any relevance on this? What is this?
Wait, I just realized Miss Weaver is here. How am I just now noticing? I haven't seen Miss Weaver since Glenville.
This is a lyric that was put in like the notes section of his phone, like I remember something or something like that. And I believe the facts will show that he was in the studio at that time. I'm going to object relevance in 403.
Mr. Schardt is correct. The state does believe he's at the studio. The state included this because this is March 15th at 12:52 a.m. So the murder we believe is March 14th at around 10 o'clock, 10:02 p.m. And so a couple hours later, while at the studio, this is just a note that, just like what Mr. Schardt said, he typed, like you can make an Apple note to yourself to save. And the second line says, poor little ops, which the state believes is opposition gang members. Look how they're just dropping. So the state believes, and the jury conferred what they want, that this is relevant because...
So he said poor little ops, look at them drop or some shit. So it's a lyric. Y'all know how I feel about lyrics.
A little shy of 3 hours later, he's in a studio making music, and he's writing a line that the state believes is about 3 hours after a murder of a opposition member.
And the line is, poor little ops look like they're dropping.
Relevance in 403.
All right, overruled.
The jury has heard evidence about Damekion Garlington, Kenneth Copeland, and Shannon Stillwell being 30 deep and then becoming... So it's just and this is a conversation between Damekion and Shannon Stillwell. So that one line, the state just wanted to highlight that in a private message referencing that.
Cumulative, at this point, I think if the point is to show that Mr. Stillwell has knowledge or potentially a prior affiliation with 30 Deep, I think that has been discussed ad nauseum at this point.
It has. We've seen videos of Shannon, I think, on the block.
Private group threads or messages are different than public displays.
Admit that over objection. So the next thing...
Defendant Stillwell is a part of this because OG Bull, where he says, let's go FUCK crucial up and get out of there the old slime way.
And then B-Slime says, them guys goof troops. Them guys want to be us. Fast forward 3 hours. And then the only thing Shannon is talking about is, let's go to crucial, the old slime way. Tunk said we get in our original session in bottles. We can label this as like a continuous thread, but it spans over 3 hours, and there's absolutely no evidence that Shannon was on his phone or had any involvement with...
Paying attention to the first part of it, not that the first part of it...
All he's talking about was going to a club.
Yeah.
And these are all words of people that have not testified, they're not going to testify.
Oh, dude, there's so much reaching. The state needs to like really narrow down their case here. It's the last few weeks of the trial. They got to hammer down the hard evidence they have on Shannon.
In all honesty, this just looks like a bunch of people going, hey man, are we going to go out tonight?
Right.
It better be fun if we're going.
The part we also haven't talked about is YSL is the new mob. I don't know nothing about Ninth Ward. And then when this is what plays into the wiretap, where I have addressed this to the court before, UNFOONK, because YSL is a hybrid gang, is Goodfellas. And so when Miles Farley is getting attacked by YFN and a subset of Goodfellas in 2022, co-conspirators that have a group thread that, yes, sometimes they do talk about what would be mundane topics, but other times when we get deeper into this, the court will see, they talk about shooting people. So this group thread is active.
Why would we need to get into what B-Slime's saying about them guys goof troops? Where, again, Shannon is not actively participating. I mean, I've never, and I don't have a lot of group chats, but I've never gotten on a group chat and then felt the need to say, hey man, what you said 4 hours ago, I really disagree with that.
Okay, well, you're going to have to argue that, I guess. I mean, I don't think there's anything particularly...
Bro, that's so good. Dude, I've had a group chat before, like years ago, 14 people in it. Legit, I think there was a point where there was 1,000 messages on the little dot and I never opened it. Group chats can be real active, but I don't know.
Revelatory about this particular conversation, but, you know, the state can make their argument about it and the defense can make their argument about it.
The judge downplaying their evidence once again.
Relevance, 403, wasted time, and I'll note that, to my knowledge, I believe Mr. Stillwell is not in any of these photos.
Okay, I'm going to sustain that objection.
Thank God.
There's a conversation about a female who they believe is hanging out with YFN, If Gang, the opposition. And so this kind of develops in the next couple pages. And so Christian McMiller saying...
hey, this girl hangs with the ops.
Correct. And then Shannon Stillwell says, I told you, idiots, basically, that she's an op. And then they keep going, and that is Shell Kell's...
Ho.
Correct.
That is Shell Kell's hoe.
Discussing opposition and Shell Kell and being a big homie, they continue to talk about what's going to happen to this female who is basically hanging out with YSL people and with hers. They say, like, basically talking about she's going to get physically assaulted next time she feels comfortable on the block. Christian McMiller says Shell Kell is the main op, the one that we want. And when he says that we want, the state believes that they want to kill him. Highly relevant to see how they're discussing Shell Kell, their main op, the one that they want.
Then a bunch of people who are not my client, and I understand that my client's on the thread, start talking about, yeah, we should have her come over and have other girls beat her up. My client is not actively involved in any of those conversations. I don't believe that they would fall under 801D2E. They're not adopted by my client. We can talk about...
yeah, I think that all the stuff about the girl is a very marginal relevance. So if the real goal of this is to have somebody say Shell Kell is the main op, the one we want.
They're still just trying to establish the beef between Shell Kell and everyone when the jury has seen probably 25 examples.
To me, Your Honor, me reading this thread is just a bunch of friends. We can label it whatever we want. I'm going to say it's a bunch of friends basically gossiping and just running their mouths and playing with each other. And Mr. McMiller says, this one comment... I'm gonna
sustain the objection to this.
Judge Whitaker sustains.
This shit's deeper than rap. She can't be both. You're either with us or you're against us. There's no in between. She gets beat the fuck up next time she's in a party.
Yeah, if you want to have that's at least talking about something directly that seems to be indicating this is more than who you rap with.
Now, Your Honor, I'm going to object. I understand that you're finding relevant.
Because your client is nowhere in this
Right.
conversation?
It's not OG,
Okay.
OG King, my client. And
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is furthering anything.
Okay.
This is the group thread that he's a part of. So it's multiple YSL members talking about beating the hell out of this person.
Well,
I think it's highly relevant to talk about exacting violence on a rival street.
well, it would be highly relevant maybe if any of these people were in trial for beating up this woman. So I don't know about highly relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, none of this would come in any other trial, man.
That's not the word I meant. I meant gang co-conspirator statements of identifying an opposition gang member and exacting violence, which in the states,
Saying they're going to exact violence.
correct, which ends up being murder.
Which they did not violently beat up a woman. There's no evidence of that.
Well, nobody who's sleeping with both of the gang members or roll up gangs ends up murdered as far as I know of with regard to this indictment, right?
And John, I guess what I meant is, they're not just talking about,
Kelvin Watts ain't dead.
the state feels it is gang co-conspirator 801D2E for them to be discussing exacting violence on a rival gang member amongst each other. That's the state's position. And defendant Stillwell is a part of this group thread. So the state believes that
Well,
this
it's hardly
is
an adoptive admission because these group, apparently everybody this age just spends the entirety of their lives on 700 million different group threads that unless you were watching it at the time, you don't go back and say, well, what did these people say 15 minutes ago? Because it's, 1,000 different tweets or threads or whatever comments by the time they pull up their phone and see what's going on the group thread.
Yes, Your Honor.
I just think we're so far afield.
We are very far afield.
We're talking about UNFOONK having sex.
I mean, yeah, just 403. I'm excluding all of this.
Shane playing no games today, excluding all that.
The whole YFN is at the Chevron Blue Ivory shooting a video. Lucci's out there. Gray Audi. Lucci's in it. And a black X6 truck. My rental doesn't have paper plates, but it can slide.
That seems relevant.
All right, pull up with the shit.
Mr.
Hadn't found 9839 yet, but whatever you're reading sounds relevant.
Are we getting rid of everything?
Pull up with the shit.
It satisfies the street gang element of trying to shoot YFN Lucci.
All right.
8919, I see a picture of an incredibly handsome man sitting next to me. I believe.
Incredibly handsome man sitting next to me.
I mean, they're talking about drinking.
Right.
Boy, you still drinking? Where you at? I gotta do it for boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say. I mean, you can say, oh, that means.
Oh, whoa. What's going on here? That didn't just happen. Okay, I know she's just reading something, but people are gonna, oh man, that the people are gonna be tweeting about this.
You still drinking? Where you at? I gotta do it for boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say. I mean, you can say, oh, that means.
All right, Miss Hilton's face is actually funny as shit, and I think ABBATE like jumped. Watch ABBATE on the left.
Do it for boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say. I mean, you can say, oh.
Why would she? Now she's just reading something. I know some people are actually going to be upset about that, but in court though, she's trying to evaluate evidence. She probably was a little flustered and didn't really realize.
Do we have anything more than this conversation for that person?
I do not currently have anything more about who Stick Baby the Don is at this time. And I also, so, the context of this, of them being all...
Okay, so whomever that is, he or she is alerting this group, hey, y'all, Lucci's wherever Lucci is.
Right. Yes, Your Honor. Which...
Random person, Stick Baby the Don, notifying them of Lucci's location.
The only one that we don't know is Stick Baby? Is that correct?
I believe so, Your Honor. I'm looking at these names, make sure I didn't miss something.
Okay.
And we know.
So he's not an unindicted co-conspirator. They don't even know who it is.
Frankly, that's not being offered for the truth. Anyway, it's being offered to show that once that information gets out there, all these other people talk about potentially doing something, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That part's not really being offered for its truth. It's being offered to show what everybody else then does. So this seems to me to be admissible. So moving on to 92.
Of course, it's not being offered for the truth. It's just the reaction.
My concern is we just come this far. Now we're just kind of like throwing crimes in there that none of us, at least I'll speak for myself, I don't know anything about what they're talking about. Now we're kind of like opening up the universe to a bunch of talk on a group chat about crimes, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, with no indication that it was done or how.
It does seem like that. Like they're throwing in all these group chats to just throw anything at the wall and see if it sticks. Or it's almost like it's a Hail Mary for the state.
A YFN person, where they are, so they can go shoot him, and YSL members, and they took their YSL chain and are trying to actively shoot at them. And so the state's, with the evidence presented and what the state has...
All right, y'all have, I think, sufficiently established a gang rivalry.
And it's definitely cumulative. They're just throwing anything at the wall.
35, so pick one or the other.
The state would prefer to use 9141.
All right, then 9135 is out, 9141 is in.
Basically, Mr. McMiller claiming that he has a victim lined up, but we don't know who the victim is or anything like that.
Correct, Your Honor.
Just more of a race.
Sustained.
Sheesh. Sustained.
They go on the next page and it says, I'm not doing all this talking. If you ride, you're riding. If not, F you, it's up to you. And then they say, damn well, I'm behind you 100%.
These fucking boys are idiots talking like this in group chats, man. Like actually dumb as fuck.
We can go to war for sure. We got 7 guns and it's 20 of us at the park. Everyone needs, I believe he meant to say gun or Glocks. He says GAKS. I don't know. I think that's a typo. I could be wrong.
I love how Max Shart's just fighting like none of this has anything to do with Shannon Stillwell. Doug Weinstein hasn't said a word today. He's like, fuck this and fuck you. I'm not even going to argue.
Before we broke for lunch, we were hashing through a bunch of Instagram conversations, and I was reading one out loud and basically saying it as my eyes were going over it for the first time ever, and just reading whatever was on the paper, and I read out the word NIGGAS, which I hope that was not offensive to anyone. It was certainly not meant to be offensive to anyone. I do not use that word, and it was merely I should have been looking first before I said it, whatever I said out loud, to edit if there were any offensive words. So I want to apologize on the record for that. Now, with regard to the songs, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I did not mean any.
Someone just stood up and said, Your Honor, I took no offense, I think.
Generic talk about guns and crimes and all of those things are not meant to be admitted in a criminal trial unless there's a nexus to the crime at hand or the crime that's being litigated. So that's where the 404A and the 403 unfair prejudice would come in. Well, if the state's going to argue that the words red light are a reference to the SHYMEL Drinks case, then by definition it would have to have been created after the SHYMEL Drinks homicide. And I don't believe that to be true, and I'm just wondering if the state has any proof that it was created before.
Or if they're even going to argue that.
Right.
I don't know. Are y'all arguing that red light refers to the Drinks death?
No, our argument is going to be that with the nature of this criminal enterprise, that they don't mind killing their ops at red lights, generally speaking. I mean, so the fact that Mr. Drinks was murdered at a red light is consistent with the nature of the enterprise, Your Honor. That how significant is it that there's a song in which they talk about shooting their ops at red lights?
All right, well, then I would say that pretty much is an argument, even if you just say 2 + 2 instead of 2 + 2 = 4. You're saying this is a reference to the Drinks killing. So, which you're certainly entitled to do.
Killing your ops at the red light is relevant, given that Mr. Drinks was killed at a red light.
Well, and that's where kind of 404A propensity and everything else comes in, because Your Honor wasn't here at this. Maybe you were. When I think you may have been. Kenneth Copeland was on the stand.
Oh yeah, I was here for some of them.
You remember? And I asked him, and red lights are kind of a recurring theme. And I asked him about masks and tint and red lights, and he said, "Oh no, that's a must. Tint is a must. I don't stop at red lights. That's a must."
That.
So these are generic themes throughout this type of music, and that's I think it's kind of trap and drill, and there's just a lot of references to ops. These are common themes in this type of music. And
Judge isn't going to care. She's going to say it's up to the jury to decide. He's going to have to do it on cross.
the state can't show that it was created after the Drinks murder, which I don't believe they can show that. Then it's just kind of a general statement about red lights and the circumstances in which we live. And to me, we're going into a propensity in 404A.
I don't even know what the words say, so I can't really say whether it's propensity evidence or not.
And the red light portion, I'll just reiterate, is not Shannon's words either. It's B-Slime doing the chorus. It's time to ride out, ain't no hiding out, FN destroying walls. I seen an op fall, FN divide y'all. Shell, that was my call. Okay. So my argument is that these two homicides that my client is charged with, there's no indication that any of those lyrics reference specific evidence or specific facts regarding those homicides. Certainly they're homicides, and he's saying in the song, "Go catch a homicide. Show me if you're down to ride." And my argument is, does this song and the lyrics make specific reference to crimes that are charged beyond the general, "Oh, commit crimes, I commit crimes, I'm tough, I'm bad, I'm not scared, I carry a gun"? Does it make specific reference to known facts to say that would allow us to say, oh, he's talking about the murder of Donovan Thomas or the murder of SHYMEL Drinks versus just generally talking about violence? I'm a tough guy. That's my persona in the music. I do this type of music, and I'm going to rap about homicide and killing and guns. Shell was my call. That was my call. I can acknowledge, would likely argue that, oh, there's someone on the other side that goes by Shell. Okay, that's a specific reference. But
Yeah, that lyric is bad because they've been saying Shellkel's been a target and everything.
being shot, killed, or anything else. So that really, I guess it shows a dislike for Shellkel, apparently, which I think at this point that would be cumulative, because I think it's pretty clear. There is a dislike. Enough in this to say that it's a specific reference to the crimes that are charged as opposed to just general bad acts, and that's why I'm labeling this 404A.
All right, well, there aren't actual acts.
These lyrics are just generalized, boastful, bravado, criminality sells.
Yeah, it's a style of rap music, including some of the topics that are commonly found in rap music. It's not evidence of bad character, such that it should be kept out because it's being offered for propensity reasons.
Okay. Well, I would also argue that under 403 there's confusion of the issues as well, because again we're just talking about, unless there's a specific nexus to a crime, we're just talking about generalized crime, and that could confuse the issues for the jury as well.
Okay, I understand your argument. Overruled.
Jesus, Judge, all right. She gonna be letting a lot of this shit in, clearly. Jury's gonna have to decide if they believe the lyrics are a direct correlation to the murders.
Bad character evidence. Dodging all your shots, send them all to my ops, let that B-I-T-C-H rain out the drop top.
Dodging your shots is not bad character evidence. Saying, man, I'd rather that go to the ops is not bad character evidence. I don't know what rain on the top of the drop means, but...
shooting out the sunroof.
Okay.
So this is my concern, Your Honor, is that jury hears these lyrics.
I don't know that we're going to need 4 of these songs.
Great point. We don't need 4 songs if it's all pretty similar, right?
Your Honor, the state's belief that when Donovan Thomas was murdered, that there was an individual shooting out of the roof of the out of the rooftop of that vehicle as they drove down McDaniel Street. And so, as a party opponent admission, which this is for an individual who was alleged to have committed that crime, to rap about letting it rain out of the top of the drop, we believe is relevant information, Your Honor.
So I remember there was someone out of the sunroof of that Infinity for the Donovan Thomas murder. Judge is clearly letting all this in.
We can say that's adoptive admission.
I don't know if it's an adoptive admission or not, but he's singing on the...
Adoptive admission, they're saying since someone on the same song as Shannon, B Slime, Shannon is then accepting that statement as his own.
I don't believe that those are specific references that include specific facts that could be linked and provide that nexus to either the charged homicides for Mr. Stillwell. Obviously, you can tell from me arguing it in my prior statements, I would very much prefer that these not be in evidence because, in my mind, they are very bad character evidence. And so I object under 404A and 403.
All right, I don't find them to fall under 404A at all, and I'm overruling both objections.
Create the impression, and I'm afraid will create the impression to the jury, that Mr. Stillwell is a killer without, and that impression will be made through fictional art as opposed to the evidence in this case. So again, without a direct nexus, we are going to object under 404A and 403.
All right, so is there anything in this song that is significant or distinctive from whatever's in the other couple of songs?
Yes, I just read that boy on the curb, called Picasso. Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. was shot dead on the side and fell onto the curb when he was murdered. And we believe that's distinct from the other.
Hold on. Something about a curb in a song, they're connecting it to the Donovan Thomas murder. That I don't know about that one. See, that's reaching.
He also walked up with his chopper. We do believe that one of the murder weapons used to kill Donovan Thomas was a 7.62 by 2.8 rifle. We believe he was outside between, when there's a surveillance video, his vehicle and that other vehicle, which was close to a curb as well.
So it's a stretch.
It's a stretch. Judge is frying up. Look at Schardt smiling.
He fell into a parking lot.
Yeah, parking lot. Was it the curb in the parking lot or just the parking lot?
The curb in the parking lot, me.
I know. And was his body in the parking lot or on the curb?
On the curb.
He was in the parking lot, he was on the curb.
That's what I asked, is did he fall into the curb? And y'all are now saying yes?
Yes, I would disagree with that.
All right, can somebody pull up the video and let's look?
Mr. Thomas is shot. He reacts and kind of turns and it goes off camera view. And there's a car in the parking lot. And my understanding is he collapses. He was standing near a sidewalk when he was hit with bullets.
Up against an SUV, right?
And then he collapses in the parking lot. I believe behind the SUV that is in the surveillance video.
He's not in the parking lot. So
Don't we have crime scene photos?
his car was to the edge. He was standing.
We're really trying to connect lyrics about someone falling on a curb this hard. Like they're reaching this bad. This is insane.
Of course, the more it doesn't match the facts, the better it is for your client, Mr. Schardt.
So that's where his hand is, so his falls really as close to the curb.
The judge is so over the state.
All right, I'm going to permit that. So does that take us to the end of the song evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is next on our list?
Given your decision to admit those lyrics, I'm going to have to ask for a severance. I have no opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Stillwell. They're highly prejudicial statements that could possibly be used against my client. If you're going to deny the severance, I would ask
Give you a limiting instruction.
I would ask for a limiting
Would you like
instruction.
to craft it, please?
I will work on that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So they're going to do a limiting instruction to consider the evidence only for Shannon, I imagine.
All right, well, that's denied.
Okay, I will draft
The RICO and gang conspiracy case.
The jury's going to have to determine if these pictures are in furtherance or, furthering a RICO. And if Demonte Kendrick posted that and or Jeffrey Williams posted that, the state would be arguing, well, it's putting their brand out there.
Whatever act is this? It's that he posed for the photo.
Heaven forbid, Your Honor.
Heaven forbid for posing. That's the overt act, posing.
And we're going to need to litigate each of these things. Y'all intend to use all of these things?
There are some.
How many items is this approximately?
196.
Okay, you certainly do not need 196 more photographs in, do you? You don't?
No.
I cannot imagine that you would.
You're right. You're correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
And what we need to do, we're looking at now. We realize some might be duplicates. So
Bro, look at her tweaking. Watch this. Hold on.
duplicates. So
Tweaking.
Are there any
I guess I should have made y'all come to court yesterday and do this.
I don't have the number of evidence.
Court resumes on Tuesday, but apparently it could be Monday too. I'm not sure, so we'll see. Hey, subscribe to show membership. Love you guys. Peace out.
Diamonds and diamonds.